Again, like many others, this video is improvised, and this is actually the first take. I'm gonna try to basically summarize everything that I have learned, which is not much, and it is pretty simple, about what the hidden danger of doom scrolling is when you are, let's say, young and trying to accomplish something. But it could obviously apply to many more things, like you being in any sort of age or any sort of occupation or any sort of stage in life. What I have experienced is that anytime that I want to do some work and I try to cut out all distractions, like put my phone away and focus on, and mostly it's computer work or computer work combined with some sort of writing, handwriting. Every time I try and focus, I notice that my brain tells me that I think you're missing something. And of course, that feeling is not there, not anymore, when I'm scrolling or when I'm with my phone, when I'm, like everybody does, bombarding myself with tons and tons of entertainment and therefore dopamine and being entertained, setting my dopamine baseline as high as possible. Dopamine baseline being basically how much pleasure your brain wants. Put in very simple terms, it's like, for example, when you eat a brownie and then you drink some chocolate milk. The chocolate milk is not gonna take like it's not gonna taste like chocolate, or it's not gonna taste so chocolatey, you know, because the brownie is very high on sugar and therefore on the strength of the flavor of the chocolate, and you're gonna feel as if you're not drinking chocolate when you're drinking the hot chocolate, right? So the same thing happens with entertainment. When you and this eventually becomes a habit. Eventually, when you do it enough times, it becomes hardwired in your brain, and it makes it so that every time you are alone in your room and you are calm and you don't have any like clearly immediate thing that you have to do, no clear immediate danger for your primitive brain, your brain says you're missing something. And that something is what you give yourself every single day, which is that brownie. When you have to drink the hot chocolate, and sometimes it's not even a hot chocolate, because hot chocolate, you could say that it gives you some sort of pleasure because it also has chocolate in it. I'm getting too much into. I'm getting too deep into the analogy. The thing is, some work doesn't really give you much pleasure. Most work, and you feel like you're missing that pleasure because whenever you are calm and without any responsibility in your hands, without any immediate thing to do that you have to do quickly or otherwise something bad will happen to you, your brain immediately wants that entertainment. And when you're calm and you're trying to do something else and you are taking away from your brain the only and the one thing that is most pleasurable for it, it's going to feel like it's missing something. And then goes the mental blockage, because you're going to start overthinking, and you're probably not going to realize that what your brain really wants is to scroll. And it's going to try and convince you that you are missing something, even when you're not. It's gonna tell you, like, yeah, you're doing work, but something's missing here. I'm not feeling something that I feel normally. And you know what it is. And yeah, I think this might be the cause for me and perhaps many others, laziness. So be very careful with what you do with social media. This is with an addiction like that, which is kind of like a drug, not as strong as the drug which porn is, but we're talking about very accessible drugs and free drugs, accessible to anybody from any age group, especially children, because they are the ones that can be affected the most and whose damage is most noticeable because they're young, right? And by drug, I mean something that fucks up your brain, but something that is really pleasurable. That's what a drug is. Maybe not the definition of a drug, but that is what a drug does. gives you a lot of pleasure, but destroys you. And porn and social media are both drugs in some way, shape, or form. Porn is a very extreme drug, but we're not talking about that one today. We're talking about social media. And that can be very bad if you don't regulate it. And it's what I was about to say, and sorry for not saying this earlier, is that it is really hard for you to regulate yourself when you have access to a drug that is completely free and effortless to get. Like the pleasure that you get from watching these videos. Not this video, obviously videos that you see on TikTok or Reels or YouTube Shorts. It's nearly impossible for you to regulate yourself on that. And maybe this can have some worse effects on certain people and some more slight effects on certain people. Maybe it's affecting me more than others. Maybe it's not, I don't know. Maybe I just have an inability to ignore that craving. Or maybe it's just something wrong with me. But maybe, just maybe, I'm not the only one being affected. Maybe you are too. And maybe you don't realize it. But there's always things that you can do to find out whether if you are affected, if you are addicted, and also things that you can do to improve the health of your brain, to heal yourself, to better yourself. So I would think the simplest thing you can do is just be alone in a room without your phone, without that drug, without that entertainment, and look for something to do. Literally look around. Like, what can I do right now? I can make more of the product. I'll probably talk about this in another video. But yeah, it is really dangerous, and the consequences, you might not see them right now, but be careful. That's all I want to say.